Tonight on KGW News, an update in the search for a puppy swiped from a Portland shelter. Plus, family members face the man who murdered a Vancouver mother and her young daughter.
And I want him to suffer every single day.
And Portland students demand change from district leaders.
Students should not have to fear for their safety every time they step into their school.
The action they want to see to help their classmates feel safer. Good evening. We begin tonight with all eyes on Florida's Gulf Coast, where people are rushing to escape the path of Hurricane Milton. Evacuations are in effect in coastal zones in the Tampa Bay area, home to millions, with interstates gridlocked as folks try to make their way to safety before the monster of a storm, still a Category 5, is forecast to hit on Wednesday. Those who are not under evacuation orders are now being told to have enough supplies to last at least a week without power or water. State crews also have had their hands full cleaning up debris from Hurricane Helene to keep it from being blown around or carried off by the storm surge. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco, joined by Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. Matt, let's talk about the latest on the timing and Milton's projected path. What do we know?
Yeah, David, we expect landfall about 24 hours from right now, basically. It'd be around this time tomorrow night, which would be 2 a.m., of course, on the East Coast. This is earlier. You can see the intense eye of Milton as it churned across the Gulf of Mexico. This is the current imagery. Now coming into radar range, some of the radars off of Cuba and potentially from Key West, just on the outer edge of radar. This is an old frontal system to the north. It doesn't help. That's just going to increase the rainfall amounts as Milton continues to chug its way towards the coast of Florida. It is a Category 5. Winds sustained at 160, gusting to 200. Pressure has come up a little bit, but it's still incredibly low. And you can see the path takes it right towards Tampa Bay still. This is the official Hurricane Center forecast track, which is a really bad scenario for Tampa itself. Now, if it goes a little bit farther south, Tampa will do better. Fort Myers, Port Charlotte will do worse. Look at this, still a Category 4 over the middle of the Florida Peninsula, and finally a 1 off the East Coast, which will also get storm surge issues as it moves on up to the north, and also incredible flooding rains. These amounts are probably maybe as low as half of what will actually fall as the models struggle to forecast tropical rainfall. This is the storm surge forecast, and look at these colors. We're into the reds here. I mean, this is easily a 15-foot storm surge in parts of Tampa Bay and then down the coast of Florida. That, of course, will be the big issue. It's always the water that causes the most damage and destruction. So landfall tomorrow night, again, about 24 hours from now, 10 to 15-foot storm surge on that central west coast of Florida. And that is unsurvivable, and that's what officials have been telling people about this. Damaging storm surge also, as I mentioned, on the east coast of Florida. Coming up in a bit, we'll talk about the climate change component of this as we see record heat in the oceans. David?
Not the news anyone wants. Thank you, Matt. In our ongoing series, More Than a Number, tonight we're learning more about the man shot and killed over the weekend in downtown Portland. And it turns out he was a young father. Catherine Cook spoke with his brother today. Catherine.
David Lee Maures had committed to wrestling at Clackamas Community College. He came here all the way from New York. Now his family hopes someone here will help solve Lee's murder.
A star has fallen, a light has dimmed, a life cut short, a spirit pinned.
Words from a poem Jovan Maures wrote for his little brother, Lee. Police say the 22-year-old was shot and killed early Sunday morning in downtown Portland. At around 2:40 a.m., officers heard gunshots near Southwest 3rd and Burnside. When they got there, they found Lee dead in a parking lot.
This is a hard situation. My mom's distraught. My dad is in pieces.
Jovan says his family is from New York. He says Lee had recently moved to Oregon. He'd committed to wrestle for Clackamas Community College, a gifted athlete who also represented Puerto Rico's national team.
That was his passion. You know, he really did love to wrestle, but that's just one of the things that he was great at. He was a real loving kid.
Lee was also a father. Jovan says Lee Jr. will turn 2 in December.
He was a great dad. Really loved his son.
As loved ones raise money to support Lee's family, police continue their investigation. Detectives say after the shooting, those involved left the scene. No one has been arrested.
We just hope that we find whoever did this and bring him to justice.
Anyone with information on this case is asked to call Portland Police. We've also posted a link to the family's GoFundMe on KGW.com. David.
Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate your reporting. KGW is committed to telling the personal stories behind the statistics of crime and other tragedies. If someone you know has been a victim and you're willing to share the story of their life, email us at morethananumber@kgw.com. In Clark County, a man who admitted to killing his ex-girlfriend and her 7-year-old daughter last year has now been sentenced to life in prison. Kirkland Warren also learning today he will not have a chance at parole. Warren pleaded guilty last month, just a few days before his murder trial was set to begin in the spring of 2023. 27-year-old Michelle Melendez and her 7-year-old daughter, Layla Stewart, were reported missing after they were last seen with Warren. 10 days later, police found their bodies in a rural area near Washougal. Both had been shot in the head. Today, family members of the victims shared the pain they have lived with over the past year.
And I'm glad that he is getting a consequence, but it'll never amount to the pain and suffering that me and my family and loved ones have felt since this all started.
I can't even make any more memories. The 7 years was all I had. And it's all because of Kirkland Warren. And I want him to suffer every single day.
You can really feel their pain there. The victim's family also hung dozens of purple balloons outside the courthouse in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a third round of bargaining with the union that represents striking Boeing machinists has failed. The company tonight said it withdrew its recent proposal after the union rejected it. This comes after a federal mediator was brought in to help with negotiations. The strike has prompted the company to furlough thousands of non-union employees and implement a hiring freeze. The union has not responded. The Portland mom whose toddler died of a suspected fentanyl overdose was arrested in Seaside this morning. 26-year-old Mary Jacobo has been on the run since first responders found her 2-year-old daughter unresponsive 3 weeks ago at a Northeast Portland mobile home park. Portland police say they believe Jacobo went on to carjack someone at gunpoint and then to commit other violent crimes. Authorities say she had a gun when she was arrested. We're working to find out what charges she will be facing. And a federal trial is now underway in Medford for the man accused of kidnapping a woman, then locking her in a cinder block cell in his Klamath Falls garage. Prosecutors have submitted a witness list of more than 70 people and more than 500 exhibits, including images of Nagasi Zuberi buying cinder blocks at a local Home Depot. The FBI alleging Zuberi posed as an undercover officer, kidnapped a woman from Seattle, and then sexually assaulted her during the drive to Southern Oregon. Zuberi is also charged with kidnapping another woman in Klamath Falls. He has pleaded not guilty. New tonight, students in Oregon's biggest school district are joining their counterparts in Gresham in calling for changes when it comes to safety. And as Alma McCarty reports, some Portland school board members think those students are on the right track.
Just 30 days into the new school year, Portland Public Schools students took their concerns, specifically regarding gun violence, directly to the school board.
It's just, I don't know, like an overall kind of fear that all students have to deal with.
Naomi Basaka, an 8th grader at Laurelhurst Middle School.
I've seen my classmates like cry and panic during active shooter drills, and I just think it's just so crazy how big of an issue gun violence is and how like unfazed adults are about it.
And Jorge Sanchez Bautista, a senior at McDaniel High,
they have power, they're the school board,
showed up Tuesday to get a message across.
They have a lot of things that they can do, you know, it's just more the like who is there to like motivate them and who's there to push them, and that's, you know, the community.
But in sitting down in front of the board, they represented many more students, including the 300 who signed a petition for the district to make safety changes.
I think children are offering that kind of unique perspective. I'm glad they're speaking up because, you know, we're just in a cycle of constant gun violence.
These are proven ways that we can make schools secure and students safer. As board members, it's on you to make these changes.
There are 5 demands for both school and state leaders, including supporting students with trauma-informed practices during lockdowns and drills, increasing mental health support, fixing up communities and the schools within them, raising the age to purchase semi-automatic long guns to 21 in Oregon, and finally, requiring schools to pass out information on secure storage of firearms.
This isn't just a local problem, but a national matter, as we've seen so many school shootings and violence occur in schools. You know, this has become so common that when we see it on the news, we're not even shocked or surprised, but we're just like, okay, this is sad, you know, like we need to do something about it.
But I'm all for students advocating, and I think they're totally on the right track.
Several board members thanked them for formally addressing these issues head on, acknowledging too the need for more discussion as the school year continues.
We know that there are a lot more shootings that are happening within a 1 mile radius of our schools than we like to talk about, and a mile is too close.
In North Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Couple of well-spoken students there. You are watching KGW News. Still to come at 11, 4 weeks and counting till Election Day as the race for Portland mayor heats up. Plus, a dog napping caught on camera. Why there's a little good news about the search for this puppy tonight.